Good afternoon, everyone. So, before I begin, I want to say a big thank you to Arnav Chopra and, the entire committee. I think you guys are wonderful. When we were your age, we were doing none of this. So it's very, very inspiring to talk to you, and I think you don't even need this talk, but now that I'm here. So, this was the topic, for the day, and I think I'm so humbled to be back in Ahmedabad because I don't know how many of you know this, but many of you students are in 8th, 9th and 10th standard, and when I moved away from Ahmedabad, many, many years ago, I was the same age. And I was born and raised in Ahmedabad, and when I was moving away, I felt so uprooted to be like going away from my friends who meant the world to me. And I remember at that time thinking this is the worst thing in life that can happen to me. And I remember my elder sister Alka and I, okay, this should work. That's her and me. We look innocent here. But we tried so many stunts with our parents to tell them, let's not move, you guys move, we'll stay here, we look after ourselves, so on and so forth. But of course, none of that worked, and move we did. But what's really amazing is that what I didn't know is that if I hadn't moved to Bombay, there were lots of tough times that we faced. There were a lot of situations that happened in life. I had to grow up sooner than my years. I had to live alone when I was 15 years old, which is probably a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure. But it led to so many special things in life because it exposed me to the world of media. It landed me in the movie business. And I got the opportunity to work on 150 movies. Makes me seem old, but it was quite special. So I think when you think about, thinking twice in life, there was one word that comes to mind, and that's really choice, because it's such a powerful word. And I came across this quote from none other than Harry Potter, from J.K. Rowling, and it's just so special because I think it sums up, so many things, because it's our choices in life that really show who we are far more than our abilities, and I think that's so very true. And I really wish that when I was your age, I could have said something like this to myself, because when you're 13, 14 and 15, what you don't realize is that the big difference of being in school and being out there in the real world is that you have to make so many decisions. And each of those choices take us either closer or further away from the life that you really want. But that really is if you know what you want in life, because at that stage I didn't know. And it's so important to know that very often we complain about so many different things in our lives, or we feel envious about things in other people's lives. But very, very often those are things that we've actually chosen for ourselves. We may not realize it, we may have done it consciously, subconsciously, but one such example that comes to mind is, and don't follow that example of mine, this is a bad example, but when our standard 12 results came out, the big standard 12, we know how important it is. We can safely say my results were disastrous, which means that I really struggled to figure what is it that I want to do in my graduation choice. So I flip-flop between architecture to law to pharmacy to engineering to like interior designing, to so many different things. And I finally ended up choosing microbiology. And that's really because, I figured it'll be cool to know what microorganisms do. And I remember I was in Jai Hind, that's a college in Bombay, Mumbai. And on that admission day, there were so many different specializations that one could have picked, but this one seemed exciting. Needless to say, I was horrible at it. There were so many people in my class who were so good. But between being terrible with the microscope to burning my hair in microbiology, work between flames, there were so many, I think I broke some equipment in the lab as well. So clearly one knew that this is not what you should be doing. And, but when you look back and you think of a choice that you made which wasn't maybe the smartest choice, what's really important to know is that, and to acknowledge, that I think it taught me a couple of things in life, which I think I'm using today in the business that I run, which is attention to detail, appreciating detail, imagining things. Because, when you look at a test tube, when you look at a culture, you don't really realize that that's, that microorganism is responsible for typhoid or it's a life-saving drug. So being able to visualize something beyond what you can see has been so important. And I think most importantly, it's been really important to know that there are some things that you're good at. There are some things that you're not good at. And it's important to seek those things that you are good at. And I think one more thing that's really helped, at least me in my life decisions in terms of my career, has been to choose things that help you build something and make an impact rather than chasing money. Because I remember when I was in my management school in Sydenham, also in Mumbai, we had our placement day. That's when all the companies come on campus. And the right thing to do at the point was to, when you're doing marketing, is to join an FMCG company. And I remember being in the interview of one of these companies. And the HR person who was interviewing me said something so insightful. She said that, you're sounding so passionate about so many things that you're talking about, but not about what your role is going to be here. So she literally sort of talked me out of wanting to do that. And I think she did me a huge favor, because I went to yet another group discussion, didn't get through, my friend got through, I was really despondent. And that's when I thought about what is it that I really want to do. And one thought that came to mind is that maybe I should join media, because a couple of my friends were working in the media space, and I figured that this is a really high impact place to be, and you can really make a difference. Tell stories that are not just stories, but that are, which become movements. And I had done my summers in Bennett and Coleman, which is the Times of India group. I'd loved it. And I remember in 2002, UTV came to campus. They were a very small production house, no channels, no movie business, nothing. And there was a founder of the company, Ronnie, who came to speak to us, who was just so very inspiring. And it was so easy to see myself fit in there. And I remember there was an interview round with 8 people from the senior management, very intimidating. And I remember I nailed it, mainly because it was so effortless. And, I'll never forget that on campus, I was, I think, the 2nd or 3rd lowest starting salary. And I'm so glad that I didn't obsess over it, the fact that I sort of took the job. I think it was the smartest decision I've ever made. I think it's so important when you look back to think of things that have happened if you hadn't made that decision, and that have happened really well because you made that decision. And I think one of the things that is so cool is that what I didn't know when I joined UTB at that point was that I would go on to working on so many movies, and with this particular favorite actor of mine, who had been my favorite actor since I think I was 9 years old, because his first movie came out then. And I got the chance to work with him on not 1, not 2, but on 9 movies. And the first one that we did together was this movie that went on to become a huge cult movie called Rang De Basanti. And the most recent one was this one. Okay, I've skipped a slide, but yeah, that's the one that was the most recent one. So this was the first day of shoot of Dangal, which was in somewhere in Haryana. I think it was in Palali. And what is really special here, not just because I'm in the picture, but because there's, you see the real Fogart family who we showed in the film, Mahavir Fogart, Geeta Fogart, along with the real family. And the movie really went on to become such a movement, not just in India, but in every country that we release a film in. So what was really amazing is that you took one decision, and you didn't really know where it was going to take you. And I think what was also really special when I joined UTV is that who knew, that I would go on to work for this company, which basically acquired UTV in 2012. So this is us in the Walt Disney Animation Studio in LA, soaking in all the legacy. So genuinely, you make decisions in life, and you never really know where they're going to take you. But beyond work, beyond studying, I think one of the most important decisions we'll all ever make in life, more important than anything else, is the person we want to be, right? Because that impacts our life the most. And pretty much, it's just so important to focus on the fact that how you behave with people is how, your personal and your professional life is going to turn out to be. And really, I believe life is such a strong leveler. Sometimes you will be powerful, sometimes you will be helpless, sometimes you will work for people, sometimes people will work for you. But there's this one quote which I love so much. It's by Maya Angelou, and it says that people don't remember what you say, or they don't remember what you do, but they remember how you make them feel. And genuinely, I think even today in school, whether you realize it or not, all of you are making this decision on a daily basis on what kind of people you want to be. And I think that, sometimes one tends to be, predatory, abusive, bully people who we think are different from us because we think it gives us some false sense of power. And I really, really, really believe that that's not true. And I think we must know that, once you start doing this, that's the person you become forever. And genuinely, what happens is that it's the beginning of a downward spiral, inevitably. And, it's so important to realize that no one will want to be with you, either work with you or be with you in your personal life if that's where you want to be. And, even if you look at life, and if I talk about all the experiences we've had at work as well, people do business with people. It's hardly companies doing business with companies. Very often, it's really about how you are with people, and that's what matters. And when we talk about thinking twice, it's very easy to get carried away and think that, let me not make a decision. And I think that's the worst thing you could do, because the worst thing is to be stuck in inertia. So I think it's so important in life to take a stand, to make a decision, and to also realize the difference between things that are in your control and that are not in your control, because there are so many things that are not going to be in your control. And think about situations in a way that, when you look back at your decisions, there's no point regretting it. Pretty much like my microbiome one, because everything you do in life teaches you something. And also, it's so important to know that, your people skills is pretty much what's going to be the single most important thing when you're working out there and when you're in the real world. And, we've spoken about so many choices, intense choices about your life, your career, your work, in your personal life as well. But choices don't always have to be bad. So these are some examples to make me less nervous. These are choices you make on a daily basis as well, which is choices between fun things. So this is just to show that, this is us making choices, doing things that we want to do, and I think you should have some fun in life as well, because life is not meant to be all so intense. Before I sort of, the last thing I want to say is that, I've worked a lot in the movie business, and we know that, it can be very, very fake sometimes. It can be, people play act a little bit. But we know that it's a business that captivates everyone like nothing else. What we also know is that people have always loved movies, ever since the beginning of time, whether it was those rickety black and white prints or the way we tell our stories now. But one thing has remained so constant, and that really, really, really is that people love movies and the secret behind that. And I really, really feel that one big secret behind that is that people love heroes. Heroes still exist in movies. And, good over evil, light over dark. And it's so easy for us to make that choice every single day to, try to be a better version of ourselves, to try and be considerate to, people around us, and just try to be a nice person. It's not that difficult. And, anything that I've said today, nothing is new. It's something you hear in every film. You hear about it in every Marvel film. You hear about it in every Star Wars film. So if you're not believing me, please believe the movie. And I think I'll leave you with this one quote, which I think sums it up so very well. It's not like any one of us don't have a light and dark side. We all have both sides. But what's so important is what we choose to act on. And that's really who we really, really are. So also from Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling. So thank you for being such a patient audience, and thank you, school and the audience, for being so patient.